podcast on real relationships. My name is Sophie Passon, and I am a relationship expert, international speaker, and best-selling author of Your Other Half. I've decided to start this podcast because, in my opinion, relationships are currently not being portrayed at what they actually are. Whether you're watching TV or the news, on social media, and wherever you are in the world, the perception given to people is actually wrong. And my aim is to talk about what happens in the real world, talk about real stories, and listen to what real people think, do, or go through, as opposed to like the expectations that are being set everywhere else of something or some things that don't exist. I may not agree with everything that is said by my guests, but it is their chance to express their opinions and their stories, and the chance for you to listen to something that is different from what is being shown to you everywhere else. So here today we have Gabriele Zilmer, who is originally German, but we are talking to in Copenhagen. So hi, Gabriele.
Hi, Sophie. Thank you for having me here.
No worries. So can you tell me, and more importantly, everybody else, because I know a bit about you, a bit about yourself, please?
Yes, of course. So my name is Gabriele Zilmer. I am a certified health practitioner, and I am also an ambassador for a very famous international coach. But that was not always like this, because I have been a home state mom. And I got my children very early. I was 26 years old, and I lived a traditional family life.
Okay, so can you tell us a bit about that? Because obviously I know about your circumstances now, which we'll talk about later, but can you tell us about that, how you got married and your life to start off with?
Yes, of course. I can't say it was an expectation from, maybe it was an expectation from my family, how I grew up. I grew up in a Catholic family in Germany, in Hamburg. And I took over what my mother and my father did. So I have 3 siblings. We are a big family. It was always nice to have a lot of people around us, and there wasn't actually any questioning myself that I want to become a mother.
Yeah, it was a clear set path, especially I suppose even in those days, even more than now, where tradition was you get married, you get kids, you get a job, or you're done, but it's the path.
Yes, I mean, I had my education. I worked in a bookstore and had a traditional education, but I wasn't focused on a business career. But when I really look back in my feelings, there was still something what I wanted to do. And that was to become a businesswoman.
Okay. So how old were you when you got married?
Yes. Sorry, again?
How old were you? What was your age?
I was 25 when I got married.
25, okay. And then tell us about that marriage and how you developed over the years and as the kids were growing up.
Yes, when I look back, I was looking for a father for my children because it was my really focus to build a family. And it was perfect. I mean, he was a perfect father for my children. And he gave me as well the opportunity to stay at home, what I wanted. It wasn't him who told me that I had to stay.
You wanted to stay at home.
We agreed on that. That is my part. And he's going out and earning the money. So he built up his career. I took care about all the other things. So his bag was free. And then he built his own company and so on. We had a very good life. I mean, I was happy at that time. And as well, staying at home at that time. And I had as well my own money. For example, that wasn't I could take the money from the bank account.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't anything what I have to tell him about that. So
Yeah.
It was a quite nice life.
And then things starting to happen.
Yes, and then things started to happen exactly when the children are getting older and grew up, and they don't need the mother so much anymore. And then you are thinking, okay, what is now my part? What is about my life? Yeah,
and what role do I play? What's my purpose if you don't need me?
Yes, then you really have this opportunity to have this questioning yourself. Yeah, and then I recognized that there was something missing in my life. Yeah, that this wasn't enough anymore for me. So I started.
Sorry, did you speak to your husband about it at the time?
Yes, yes, we talked about that, and he always supported me in finding my purpose, what I like to do, and even then I started a new education as a health practitioner. That is a special education in Germany called Heilpraktiker. It's about alternative medicine, nutrition, and so on. So I was very interested in that. And after a while, I opened my own clinic as well. So I started really a business by myself.
Okay. And then your marriage wasn't working so much anymore. What happened? Why did it stop working, do you think?
That was because I developed myself. Yeah, I started to really understand myself better and better and my needs. So it was about the relationship to myself.
And do you think, because a lot of the time, obviously, in relationships in general, and marriage is, traditional marriage is where they get married, you have kids, and then the kids quite literally leave. It's always a bit of a dodgy moment anyway for any couple because they have to readjust. And a lot of the time, you've gone through routine and you've gone through life kind of like going to the next day without really maybe making time for each other. You may not have checked in with each other and not necessarily grown in the same way. And is that kind of what happened? You were going on a path and he wasn't quite following you. He was going on his own path.
Yes, it is a daily routine, of course, and then life has some challenges. So we had as well some crises with the company. So that was really, really challenging. That took a lot of focus and energy and worries and scaring. And then it was a time not talking about myself because there wasn't the time and the place for that. And of course, then I wanted to support him. So it wasn't the time about making really a decision for myself and think I have to move on. And then it was, my ex-husband is 10 years older than me. Okay. So the expectations about what life is providing for you and what you want to experience didn't match with mine.
Yeah.
So I tried to want him as well the same what I want, but he didn't want that.
Yeah.
So there was a situation or the time for me where I have to decide.
Yeah.
Go I further on with my life how I wanted to live, or shall I stay in this relationship?
So how long were you married for at that point?
Yeah, I was married, or we was married, have been married for 29 years.
29 years, okay.
29 years.
Yeah. And how difficult was it to make that decision to leave or not to leave?
It was really a difficult decision, and it was a long, long process. This decision wasn't made overnight.
Yeah.
Inside yourself, like when you look in a mirror, you see that you have to make a decision. But it is far away. You feel it, but you don't want to do that because it's a lot of fear. I haven't lived by myself. I didn't know how really to manage my life by my own. And I said, so I said, now I tried to do, keep both and make a, keep it and make my own way.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while, it comes nearer to you, and you mean, okay, I have to make a decision, whatever it takes from you, but you have to face that.
So was there a point of no return? Was it a one-off event that?
Yes, it was an event because I spent a very close time with my uncle, who was really, really very seriously ill.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent time with him in the hospital and his last days as well, his last weeks and months. And he was different to what I have experienced in my family.
Mm-hmm.
He was a kind of type of person who really, really enjoys his life.
Yeah.
Who really lived his life on his terms and had a lot of fun. He had as well a lot of, other things to do and strugglings, but always find he loves his life, Yeah. And that is what I missed by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he shows me actually that you can make your life alive in any situation you are in.
And I think
it's a decision.
And I guess sometimes as well, when you are faced, in essence, with death, you're probably more receptive to this kind of message, because it will make you assess your own death, your own life, and, the bits that you are happy with, the bits where you're not so happy with. And I guess that's what happened. But obviously there was a secondary event, if I remember rightly.
When you face that and see that we have only this life. And it is every single decision what you make is creating life. And it's about, for me, okay, I can create my own life. Not others create it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a mother, you are always caring about others, helping others, and so on. Now I have to become the creator of my own life.
That's right.
And that was really a new, from a totally other perspective. And then I made a decision when he died that at this time now I will be separated from my ex-husband. Mm-hmm. That was a decision so clear for me at that moment that I did it.
How did your ex-husband react?
Even we talked about separation, but I think we both couldn't really imagine how that will be after such a long marriage, after such a long time. And it was a little bit surrealistic, even we talked about, but doing the thing and take the action is another thing. So
did you agree that it was best for both of you?
When we talked about it, yes.
Yeah.
But when I did it, it was still a little bit shocking for him as well as for me, myself as well. Yeah. It wasn't easy. No.
And tell me about your current partner and how you met.
Yeah.
Because that's quite a story in itself.
Yes, it is a story. Sorry. So I made the decision. Sorry.
It's live, or not quite, but you know what I mean. These things happen.
So I made the decision. And I believe in this moment you made a decision or make a decision. You make space for something new. But you don't know, in that moment when you make the decision, don't know what will happen.
What that is, yeah.
You can't know that. So after my uncle died, and the funeral was 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
And I met an old friend at the funeral again. We know each other for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
He is almost he is my age. And he was very close with my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
Because they did the sailing, they sailed together. Yeah. And so we met again. So we knew from each other's life.
Mm-hmm.
And so he asked me what is going on with your life, and so on and so on. He knew about some strugglings, and I knew about him. Then we had dinner together, and then we got more and more into
Spending time together.
Spending time, this evening and the next day, and realized that we really loved each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked him before.
Yeah.
But I was married, so I didn't know about him.
Yeah.
And so that is a story what's happened when you make a decision by yourself. It's my opinion.
Yeah. Do you think there was a lot of pressure? I know we've discussed, it was just a path, it was just what was going to happen, but do you think there was a lot of pressure to get married when you were younger?
It wasn't. I think it was a pressure, not.
It was just what society said.
That's from the society. My sister got married. My sister got the children, and I felt it's pressure for myself, maybe because I didn't have any clue what I shall do otherwise.
Yeah.
That was the thing what I had in mind with my life.
Yeah. So tell me about what happened next with your current partner.
Yes. So I was really, I felt that could be really a big thing for me. And then it was because he is living in Copenhagen, and I lived.
And obviously at that point you're still in Germany.
Exactly. I was in Hamburg, and he would love to stay with me a little bit longer, but I was really, really scared.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said to him, please go home, drive home, and I will stay here in Hamburg. When I look back, I only can say that was a little bit too overwhelming for me at that time. So he did it. I was alone at that evening in my home, and then I had a kind of really breakdown after all what's happened in my life. And even I wasn't looking for a new relationship or something like that. But I said to myself, Gabriele, it's your life. And when you love him, then go for it.
Yeah.
What do you have to lose? So I called him, and we met a few days later again, and then our relationship started.
Yeah.
Even I didn't know at that moment how that will be, where I shall live, all these kind of questions. But when you are in love, at that moment you don't think about that.
I think that the interesting thing as well that you've just said is around, what have you got to lose? And I think a lot of the time, most of the regrets that people have are more around the chances that they didn't take rather than the chances that they did take, and that turned out to be a mistake. But sometimes a mistake is needed in a way to progress anyway.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, and I think you have to be ready for the change. You have to prepare yourself. And I prepared myself many years for that. In the beginning, maybe unconsciously, but then it was more really a conscious decision that I will change my life. I wanted to change my life.
And how did your kids react?
Yes, that was, even my kids are grown up and didn't live at that time anymore in our home, but it was a shock for them, and I didn't expect that. We know from little children that they that we have to take care about that and consider that, but I wasn't prepared that even children, they are grown up, they are in the middle of 20 or older, it hurts.
Yeah.
Because my rule as a mother is still a rule as a mother.
Yeah.
So they saw me only in this rule.
Yeah.
They couldn't imagine that I, have a lover. Yeah, or will be a businesswoman, or will move to another city or country. And then I, in a way, even they haven't been lived at home, but it was their home.
Yeah.
So they could come whenever they wanted to our home, and the mother was there, and all these kind of things, what we provide for the children. And that is something what I took away from them. So it was really a big issue, and they blamed me for that in the beginning, but we always had a very honest relationship.
Yeah.
And a close relationship. So I kept the contact with them. Even there was a time they didn't want to talk with me. But nowadays we have a lot of other things to keep in contact, send them a little message in the morning and ever. But they know that I love them, whatever,
And I think this is it. Sometimes it's more of a shock. People will adjust as they see you being happy and all the rest of it. They're fine with it. But to start off with, no one likes change, for change's sake, especially when it's things like this.
Yes.
Exactly. I don't think, it matters how old you are. If your parents get divorced and they're no longer, providing, as you say, it's the same house, it's the same this, you're like, oh my God,
Yes. And, they had a picture of a really holy family, all is, but of course they knew the last years it wasn't so happy anymore. But still it was, my parents are not divorced, they are still together. And as suddenly they, they are there as well.
Yeah.
And maybe when I look back, if I have known that, maybe I would I had react in a little bit different way. But it's not something what I have to regret. I apologized for maybe some decision what was too fast for them, and I didn't inform them, not asking them, but maybe more that they got involved in the process. That is the only thing what I think I could have made a little bit better. But
at the same time, as you say, that it was still a new relationship for you. You were probably protecting them from what essentially you were going through. I think sometimes we want to check, for ourselves that maybe it's the right relationship, the right person, and everything else before we start to get in.
Of course,
tell everybody else, but just in case.
Yes, of course, it was new for me. I didn't know exactly what's going on and so on. I didn't want to irritate them. But then things happened very fast, and but when you look back, you know better, but at that moment I did my best. And
exactly. So how are things now different compared to what your marriage was?
Yes, so we live a quite open relationship, more or less. and trying to really spend quality time together.
Do you want to explain an open relationship, because it can mean different things to different people?
Yes, of course. You know, when we are in a marriage, there, from the society, you are a couple.
Yeah.
You do all the things together. You agree on all things. But and it's still a learning process for me, because I come from a really traditional relationship as a marriage, and my new partner wasn't married at all. He never lived this traditional life, because he wants to have his freedom.
Yeah.
And I more and more want to have my freedom as well. And it could be as well, this open relationship, it requires a lot of tolerance.
Yeah.
And in my opinion now, we never know what's going on, maybe in 1 year or even in half a year, because we are all developing ourselves. And being in this present moment, what we have at the moment, that we really, live this, the present where we are in, and going from there, and not so scared about the future, because we are building our future in this moment. And an open relationship is as well that I don't own him, and he doesn't own me.
So does that mean that you are open to other people coming into the relationship, as it were? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I more and more believe as well that it's about our needs. Yeah. Really look, what is your standard? Rise your standard. Really be clear what is really important for you, not for the other, not for the partner, but what is important for you? What is your standard? What are your needs? And maybe even you love your partner, there is something what you are missing.
I think, I know some people who are in open relationships, and what they've all said is that, both parties have got to be okay with it at all times, and you have to have such a level of communication to make sure nobody kind of gets hurt, and that everybody's happy with the situation at all times.
Yes. It is quite new for me as well. And it's very interesting, because you discover new sides of yourself. But the communication part is very important.
And the honesty.
Yes, and the honesty, that we be honest at first to ourselves. Yeah, completely. Maybe we agree on something, but it's difficult for us to live it.
Yeah.
And it makes it quite alive in a way. Yeah, because you don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
And if each one is contributing something new into this relationship, that keeps the relationship alive. Otherwise, we are lost more and more in this daily routine, and it's kind of, it's a slow death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it something, obviously you've just said, you're developing, you don't know what's going to happen next year, but would you like to carry on as an open relationship forever and the day? Or do you think that at some point maybe you would want to get married again, or unsure?
From my point of view now, for me, it's not necessary to have to be married.
Okay.
At the moment, I don't see any advantage of that.
Fair enough.
It's, you can have an open relationship probably as well when you are married.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, there are so many various forms of being in a relationship. And how many people who are in a marriage, you know, they have another partner, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the other one doesn't know about that.
Yeah.
And in our society, it's possible to, especially here in Europe, I mean, when we go in other countries, maybe not, but it's almost always possible.
Yeah.
The question is, are you happy with that? Can you, is it, you know, is it matching your needs? Is it your standard? Is it really the way you want to live?
And I think this is key, you know, it isn't for everybody, but
No,
it is
isn't
also
not,
for some people. And as long
yes,
as, you know, both parties are happy with that, then
yes.
you're not hurting anyone.
No, and it could be, I mean, that I really miss that in maybe in a few months also, and maybe I have to look for another relationship.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think it is that in an open relationship, you have to check in with each other, probably
yes,
even more so than, you know, in a normal one, although you should do that anyway. But I think if other people start to get involved, and emotions could change, and you know, you've got to decide, are you, or the both of you, the core of it, and then allow people to come in and out of your life, or be a bit of a constant. But a particular friend, as I mentioned, you know, is in an open relationship, but there was a point where they experienced a bit of trouble in the sense of he was working too hard and therefore not maybe spending that much time with her. So they decided to stop having that open relationship for a time, which ended up being about a year. And then once they were both resettled as a couple, decided, no, actually, we're going to start again. But they were honest enough with each other and themselves to have that conversation.
I think an open relationship requires a lot of self-confidence and trust in yourself. So you are in a relationship, but you are as well at your own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it requires, it is maybe some safety ness and so on, where I have been, and what is, in a way, I have to build it up for myself.
So if we'd said 15 years ago, not 30, too far away, but 10 years ago, if I'd said to you, you know, what we've just discussed right now, would you have believed it?
No, never. Never. I mean, I have never believed that I will have another partner. I couldn't really imagine being with another partner together. All this kind of, it was out of my imagination. And allowing me, it took really a time to allow myself to even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's always created twice.
Yeah.
So first in our mind until it can manifest. So when I really allowed myself to think about that, then it becomes more form. It was more a creative process for me, where I think, maybe that is possible. And it was scary as well at the same time. It was excitement and it was scary as well.
Mm-hmm.
And when I now look back, even this, now I'm here for years, how I really developed myself, went through a lot of challenges, a lot of changes, and discover yourself, your true self, your purpose in life.
Yeah.
Why?
In that breath, what would you say to someone who right now is either struggling in their marriage or thinking that, you know, they're missing something? Like, what would you say to yourself all these years ago when you started thinking, there's got to be more to life than this?
Yes, I think that is what I have done, actually. It's a good question. Care about yourself first before you make a decision to leave the marriage or the relationship.
Or to stay.
Or to stay.
Yeah.
But really discover what you really are, who you really are, and what you really want.
And have your values changed in that time?
Yes, the values, because if you think the reason for the problem is only the partner, then you won't, change anything. Probably you get the same package with another partner.
Yeah.
But, you will repeat your own story again in a way.
Yes, definitely. And finally,
yeah.
No, sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So when we tend to be, to look for excuses or what is not working outside ourselves.
Yes.
For any
definitely.
problem what we are having, not only in the relationship. And that is really when you face yourself and say, okay, I am responsible for that.
Yes, I agree. And finally, before we finish, because unfortunately it's flown by, do you have any regrets?
No.
No.
I haven't any regrets, because now I am, I'm as well a very spiritual person. And I think all is fine at the moment how it is. And sometimes you think, oh, I could have that done 10 years before, but I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, there's an element of timing, isn't there?
Yes. So I think it's really the personal development, what you are doing and preparing yourself for the next step.
Okay.
And the earlier you begin with that, the better.
Right. Thank you so much. It's been lovely talking to you.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you. That's it for today. So if you've enjoyed the show, then please subscribe and give us a review. But more importantly, come back next week. Thank you.